All right, women's basketball fans, we are here for another episode of Gotta Get Up. Jonquel Jones returns to the Bahamas, and Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart seem to have made up just in time to release most of the Unrivaled rosters, but they probably made some enemies around women's basketball in the process. Let's talk about that and more on today's episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. All right, women's basketball fans, we are back, Brian and I, for another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Brian, how you feeling?
Well, it's finally rained for the first time in about 2 months here, so I am surprisingly enjoying the windy and wet weather, but otherwise feeling good.
I love it. I love it. Que pasa, JC? We got a lot to chat about on Gotta Get Up today. Of course, we're going to talk about the news around women's basketball. JJ headed to the Bahamas. We're going to do a deep dive into Jonquel Jones and her finals MVP season, and then get to your questions as well. But before we talk about the trip to the Bahamas, Jonquel Jones and also Betnijah Laney Hamilton, let's talk a little bit about the news around women's basketball. We'll start with UConn and 1,217 program wins for Gino Auriemma and Chris Daly. They now hold the record for most wins in NCAA basketball at any division. Brian, your thoughts on UConn getting what will likely be the record to set all records?
It speaks to I think it speaks to a couple things. One, just the sort of growth of basketball from when Gino first started to now, like constantly being able to maintain talent, bring in really highly valued and highly touted players, allow them to sort of like reach new potential with you. And then when they graduate and move on to the next level, they respect and appreciate the work you did, that they always come back. I think they had about like 63 players last night pull up to stores for the game, and it's like that speaks to a level of care and dedication from you and your staff throughout the time. Like they got Maya Moore at the house, and Maya don't come off nothing these days. So it's like if Maya pulls up, you know it's really serious. So I think for Gino and UConn, this entire run has just been really a celebration of what they've done and how they've been able to help grow the game with their competitiveness and with people. Like I feel like one great thing about like teams that are really up there, and especially like dynastic teams, is that the teams underneath you are they're competitive too, and they're aiming for that standard. So when they meet you at that level, you're gonna get A+ basketball all the way through. So as UConn has shined, everyone else has stepped their game up, and now you have new powers like South Carolina really shining through, really being able to establish themselves in that regard, and it really allows us to sort of like see different eras, different aspects of basketball throughout time, and helps sort of bring us to an exciting future.
Yeah, for sure. And exactly what you mentioned is I was able to be in Greensboro when the UConn women's basketball coaching staff tied the record with Tara Vanderveer. And that's exactly what we heard from Gino. That's what we heard from Coach Banghart of UNC. And I think another thing that's really important is every time I'm talking about this record, I'm also talking about Chris Daly, because I got to speak with Nafisa Collier, UConn alum, and we'll talk about her venture a little bit later on the show. And one thing that was evidently clear in how Fee talked about the upcoming record is that Chris Daly, Coach Daly, CD as she's known, a women's basketball Hall of Famer, she plays such an anchoring role in all things that are and are considered UConn culture. And it's really cool to see CD get her flowers. She also got a little roasted by the current roster. They wore wigs, little blonde bob wigs. And my favorite was Paige Beckers was asked after the game if CD saw the wigs, what she had to say. And Paige said, she said, we ate, but we don't eat as hard as she does. And I thought that was hilarious. She's like, nobody can pull off my signature better than me. And I'm like, okay, I know that's right. Aloysius. I love this comment. Lobo goes to Gino's celebration, but not the Liberty one. Listen, I don't know.
To be fair, I feel like there are a lot of tall people in New York City. So I feel like Lobo might have been incognito at the parade. We will never know.
We will never know. If I see her, I'm gonna ask her. Ronnie, good to see you. Hola mi gente. What up, Damien? Good to see you. Gino, greatest of all time. I mean, we don't know what the overall record is gonna be. I'm assuming UConn has more wins than just the win they got last night against FDU. How many? We don't know. How many more years with Gino or Chris Daly for that matter? We don't exactly know. What I think is true, though, is one coach or a coaching staff being at one institution for 40 years. I don't think we're seeing that no more, Brian. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating dynamic we're in now when college coaches are ready to take the leap to the WNBA and not even just like, frontline college coaches that we know the names of like a Dawn or a Tara or a Gino. It's places and coaches who are in good institutions but aren't really known on the, front page A1 headline kind of coaches.
Right.
So
Right.
it is interesting to see as the WNBA evolves and more money comes in, more teams come in, more investment and those things like that, we're going to see sort of teams sort of pluck into the college ranks and really sort of like find those coaches who are on the grind doing good work and bring them up to the level. And then I think on the college side now, if we're probably not going to see 40-year coaches anymore due to like the nature of sports, college sports, just like everything is so. I feel like, especially with, I guess, in college, that with all the money and extra big influence that comes with it, it becomes a greater demand to win and win big. So you're not really going to have those sort of like down stretches when I think they've gone, like 8 years without a national championship? It's been a while. I feel like once you're like a really big university, that external pressure isn't really going to insulate a coach who's an institution there in the ways that it would for like a Gino or Tara and Stanford, Dawn, I guess Kim by proxy in LSU these days. It's hard to really sort of like have that full institutional backing of knowing that, hey, I'm going to be here for as long as I want to. And whenever I decide I want to like step down, I can just like step down and walk away in peace and not be pushed out the door. So the evolving landscape is really going to be super fascinating to watch, just on the player development side and also just like the coaching side as well too.
Absolutely. And so congratulations to Gino. Congratulations to Chris Daly. Congratulations to UConn. And I will say this, I grew up in New York. So like college basketball, Big East, you basically were keeping eyes on UConn back in the day. And although I have definitely, and I would say rightfully have a gripe to pick with some of the things that Gino has said over the years, results don't lie. And he's had great results. And it's been really cool to be able to touch base with him and the team, UConn, in the last handful of days. So congrats, hats off to the UConn Huskies. Okay, there's so much going on in women's basketball, but I want to talk about Unrivaled. Now, Brian, listen. There's so many ways to take this. You've got Stewie and Fee finally maybe making up after what was a controversial, to some, WNBA finals. But they are back together. Unrivaled is together. But I feel like Unrivaled has been taking a page out of the Stewie handbook when it comes to not just the announcement of their players, 36 eventually will be announced. We're waiting on those last two. But they dropped the schedule on us. They did the pods, if you will, and then the rosters. We see that Stewie and Sloot are going to be reunited, so that's going to be amazing. A lot of people very excited to see Angel Reese alongside the point guard. So that should be pretty exciting. What did you make of the roster selection? And we'll get into player 35 and 36 in just a minute.
So I know it's been a serious week of serious conversation, a lot of heaviness going on, but I feel like when Stewie said, just like old times, I feel like in her head, Jewel's like, take me with you. Take me with you. Like, I'll stay on your team. Like, the thing I got going on these days, not great, but you are good times. And rekindling good times is always fun. So I'm excited to see how that team comes together. There was a quote I saw a few days, I think on Tuesday. I think for Angels coach, he mentioned playing her with Chelsea is really going to unlock her in the pick and roll game, and having a guard who's amazing at finding you in space, getting you open. I'm so excited to see Angel's development. And, she's a few months off of hand surgery, so she's going to be at full strength. And she has a lot of basketball to give and a lot of basketball to sort of continue to learn and grow. So I'm really excited to sort of see how she comes together with her team. I want to just grab a look at the roster right now. There's a lot of fun combinations. And I think that for each group, I love the weekend setup of the games. Like Saturday afternoon is always like a great sports time. It's you don't have to sort of sit around waiting for the game to happen. It's early in the day. It's exciting. It's good. So I'm looking forward to that. Some of the rosters I really like too. The Stewie, like the Fee roster of.
Let's run through them here. So I have it on social media so we can check it out. So Laces BC, which is like they did like the football team thing. Anyway, so you've got Plum Dog, AT, you've got K-Mac, Kate Martin, C Willie, and
Big Mama.
and Big Mama Steph. Like that's a pretty solid. So this is 3x3. We know that Plum and Big Ma Steph definitely have 3x3 experience, gold medalists. Exactly. I mean, K-Mac shooting from the outside, C Willie just being able to cut and drive. And I'm curious to see what Kate Martin is going to be able to do, to be honest. Like, we'll get into a lot of what people are saying about Kate Martin and Unrivaled in a minute. Then you have we have Phantom, where you've got Jackie Young, Satu Sabali, Marina Mabry, Tiff Hayes, and Brittany Griner. That's going to be pretty solid. If I remember correctly, Phantom is one of the teams that they have that wild card spot. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Lunar Owls, you've got Fee, Tosh Cloud, Skylar Diggins Smith, Leash Gray, and who is this one?
Shakira.
Okay, Shakira Austin. I was like, I don't recognize all these handles. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, Shakira Austin. I'm excited to see. I really hope we see a healthy Shakira Austin. It's been a minute. And I think just being able to be healthy is going to be huge for her. And, that's Fee's team. So we'll see what happens there. Rose BC, this is the one we were talking about. You've got the point guard and Angel Reese, Azrae Stevens, Ka Copper, Lexi Hull. And come on, Britt Bondos, let's go. This team, I don't know. This team, they might try and do a little something, Brian. They might try and do a little something. It's going to be a little clunky. Sometimes it's a little clunky. But I think it's going to be exciting either way. For those wanting a reunion with Angel and Teaspoon, didn't quite get it. But, I think this is still a pretty solid roster. And then we have the Mist. This is the one. This is the one we both talked about. Now, I talked about Stewie and Sloot as far as a reunion, but you were alluding to Jewel and Stewie reunited. And if you listen to our emergency podcast for Tempestagi Talk, there's a lot going on there. Dejanay Carrington, Aaliyah Edwards, and Rakia Jackson. I'm also excited for Rakia. I really, really am excited to see what she's about, because I think the playing time was a little bit sparse out the gate.
Sparse on the sparks. I like it.
Sparse on the sparks. But you know, I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. And then final team. Hold on, let me get it here. Final team. I don't know why I ended up doing this format, but you know, bear with me, y'all. Bear with me, y'all. It's been a long day. De'Arica Hamby also has 3x3 experience alongside, of course, Ryan Howard. You have got Jordan Canada, Ray Burrell, Aaliyah Boston, and Arike. Now, this team is gonna be like all gas, no brakes, Brian. That like
I
just
feel,
all gas, no brakes.
yeah. I feel like this team is very much like, hey, you got somebody isolated, cook, go to work,
Do
which
your
I
thing.
love. Hey, give me that side, give Ryan Howard the ball in mid range, tell her operate, let's make it happen. So that's
That's
gonna
it.
be fun.
Yeah, that's it. And so it's yes, the Phantom as well as Rose Basketball Club. So that's what Ka, Angel, and them. Those are the two teams where before the lineup on the 20th, so yesterday, we were, or I should say, the general we of media fans thought that what might happen, Brian, is that the last two players would be announced. That did not happen. And so a little bit later on the episode, I want to talk about how that all went down, but I want to get into the goods because you know how we do, Brian. This is a podcast for New York Liberty fans. We got the Liberty Unlocked Championship Edition. We've got JJ in the Bahamas, along with Betnijah Laney and Hamilton and Brian, not you, Brian, but Brian Flannery Byron. We saw him in the background in the cut, the handler of the championship trophy. Let's start by talking about the final episode of Unlocked, because yesterday, like if things had worked out a little bit better, we would have done this episode yesterday. But it's been 1 month since the New York Liberty won their first ever WNBA championship. You can still see on the remnants of social media people arguing about the calls. I'm still being very petty about all those jump balls that have been called. And anytime I see something on social media, I like to let my petty flag fly. But anyway, you know, thinking back, it's been a month. What has been your favorite part of seeing all of the different reactions, all of the different appearances, and just reminiscing about the championship?
So when I watched Unlock, I got greedy in my head. I'm like, hey, y'all not done yet. You got one more. Like, I know y'all took like 500
Right,
hours worth of video from that parade.
exactly.
Get
Oh
it
yeah,
out there.
there's more
So
footage. I want it
I'm
all. I want the whole vault emptied.
I'm hoping Delivery give that to people as a Christmas present, like right before Christmas time. Be like, hey, we didn't forget about you. Merry Christmas from the champs. So I'm looking forward
That's
to
it.
that if they get around to it. But just in watching back and just to sort of thinking about from the video, I just couldn't help feel but like the excitement of like reliving the series all over again. Because just like I remember during the season, we talked about how awesome that those Liberty Lynx games were in the regular season, and just sort of like reliving it in the eyes of the players and the fans and the coaches again. It's like, man, we really got for such a big time year, we got a picture perfect championship round, like two evenly battled teams giving everything they got,
Yeah.
every game like close down to the final moments, just like everything you could want as like a basketball fan was there for you. And I just couldn't help but think about, man, I was like, and I also couldn't help but just feel the joy of just being able to sort of chronicle the journey all the way through, like
Yep.
between the pressure and tenseness of games 1 and 2,
Yep.
traveling out to Minnesota for 3 and 4, coming
That's
back
it.
with everyone back in game 5, like everything, it felt like going down like a trip. It felt like taking a trip down memory lane, rewatching everything over, and you could almost feel like the anxiety sort of pick up as each game progresses. Like, oh my god, this is so tense. Like watching them melt away to lead in game 1. It's like, oh, this is not good.
Oof.
And then at the halftime of game 5, Sandy's like, hey, we're gonna have to go big, and the hour is like, okay, I'm ready, and then there it
Oof.
is. So it just felt, man, we
It
could
was
spend
great.
a lifetime reliving that series, and I would go out a happy man if I had my way.
I'm telling you, to that end, actually, you gave me a perfect segue. I'm dropping the Slack link in the chat. If you're not already a part of our Slack community, make sure you get down with the get down, because especially for the holidays, even if the New York Liberty don't drop an extended Liberty Unlocked, what we plan to do is have a rewatch along, if you will. So we're going to do a little survey with the people in our Slack channel, because we want to make sure our growing community that y'all are involved and can join us. But we got to do a rewatch, because it's a long off season. We know we didn't even talk about it in the kind of rundown, but we have the lottery draft. Kurt Miller gets booted from the Sparks and still gets the number 1 pick with Dallas. Like, that's wild, bro. You know what that's like? It for real. That's on some Bill Laimbeer crap. That's on some Bill Laimbeer crap. If you know, you know. That's how they got 3 number 1 picks, because bad boy Bill, I don't know what he did. He took a look at them ping pong balls, and them suckers, they got information. You feel me?
That boy Bill got a crystal ball. He ain't sharing with us.
Bad boy Bill, oversized suit Bill. If you know, you know.
Headband Bill.
Headband Bill. Come on, let's go. But yeah, that's wild. That it's Dallas, and then the Sparks have number 2. Sparks also announced, as they absolutely should, that they are going to. They announced that they will announce in the future plans for a practice facility. They're following the trend a little on the back end of the curve, but the LA Sparks, there was so much conversation about the New York Liberty being an institution in the WNBA. This is back when there were reports that the WNBA was threatening to shut down the team, because Josai opened his wallet and got the team back home after a team building activity in Napa Valley. Wild times. Look at us now, champs. You're welcome, WNBA. You're welcome, Commissioner. But so join our Slack community, because throughout the holiday, we're gonna find some time to rewatch some of these games. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. I love this comment. This is the journey that Sandy talks about when she was hired. Man, listen, I can't wait for our deep dive into Sandy Brondello, because some of y'all owe that woman an apology. Some people on the depths of the interweb owe Sandy Brondello an apology, and I'm ready. I'm ready to facilitate.
Man, every time I'd go on Twitter, it'd be like, man, what's Sandy doing? I'm like, she's doing fine. Like, relax. She got it. She got it under control. And then game 5, Sandy's like, all right, y'all think I'm not coaching? I got my great off-white jacket on tonight. Let me show you something.
She said, bow, watch me work. I love it. I mean, there's just, I see different angles of game 5. I really think my favorite part of game 5 is Niara Sabally. Like, I just, because y'all know on Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, brought to you by Black Rosie Media. I've been riding with Niara for a minute now. I wasn't sure about Leo. I found out in Paris, and I was reformed. I came to the good side, but I always been on some Niara Sabally. And sis put on, and when the crowd goes Sabally, and she just kind of like, oh my gosh. And then her sister was there. Like, that's my favorite story. That's truly, I think, the story that really touches on the heartstrings. Then you have, of course, Teaspoon. I mean, you could honestly just go on and on and on. And I feel like every different angle, every different mock-up that I watch, Jonquel Jones bugging out over winning finals MVP. I mean, it's just all good for a New York Liberty squad that just a few seasons ago only won 2 games, Brian.
Yeah.
2 games.
Two games.
Oof. We did it. We did it, fam.
Got hurt. Like, it was just, it was rough days, but that's why you stick with it. Like,
that's it.
When things are looking down, just like, okay, what do we got to do to get out of it? Just keep working, keep building, and then you're gonna get there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so um I just love it. Um I think also Jonquel Jones is such a great story. I think a lot of people followed, myself included, her story so closely last year when they made the finals. Her talking about that she shared her heartache with the team, trying to motivate them and will them to just stay focused and be able to really fight back against a very good Las Vegas Aces squad. We know that that did not come to pass. But as JJ has been saying, delayed, not denied. And she did not deny, Brian, the Bahamas a party. She brought her MVP finals trophy. Again, Brian from the team was there alongside Betnijah Laney Hamilton to bring the championship trophy. Also, I've said this I've been saying this for years now, but WNBA, we need to name the trophy something. Like, it needs a name. I mean, you can name it Ellie if you want, just because, we finna have her come back home a few more times. But anyway, it needs a name. But I just think it was so heartwarming to see Jonquel Jones, who is someone like Aaliyah Boston, and there are other players, especially players who were not born in the United States or lived abroad for one reason or another. Like Niara was born overseas, but Satu was born in the States. I just think it's great when you can go back home. And I will say, this might be my ignorance, but I don't know, Brian, that we've really seen the WNBA show us. Sorry, what? Understand. Well, girl, I'm recording a podcast. Leave me alone. Dang, like, like my all of my technology is trying to talk to me. Like, let me be great and record my podcast. Anyway, what I'm saying is, Brian, I cover hockey. And in hockey, the Stanley Cup going, your day with the cup is huge. Yeah, now in the WNBA, we've never really seen that because everyone is like, oh my gosh, we won a championship. Let's go back to to wherever our team is, pack up our locker and head overseas.
So Erica, to that point, I think one of the, now that you mention it, I'm thinking about one of the more unfortunate moments in recent W history. And I'm thinking back to 2019 when the Mystics won the championship, and then everyone had to hit the road the very next day because they had international obligations, and the Mystics fans in DC never got that moment with the team. And when we think about how a player like Tosh Cloud went so hard for DC. She played so well. Elena, essentially, that, I guess history might prove it was like her last stand, more or less. Like Big Meese winning the MVP, all that great basketball.
Man, let's go.
Yeah, they didn't get that moment with the fans in that way, and it's really unfortunate. And I really appreciate in the past couple of years, between Chicago in 21, Vegas back-to-back years, and now us this year, like, the players have really gotten to actually enjoy it with the fans, because I feel like stuff like that, for all the metrics talks about, who's watching this, who's going to games, things like that, like, the community piece matters just as much, and that presence, you can't replace that. And if you are able to actually be there with people and really sort of enjoy the moment with people, because I think I said it on the pod after game 5, the next day I was downtown Brooklyn, it was so much seafoam. I'm like, look at this.
I know
all the colors are out. And when you win like that, you permanently have that connection, and it never goes away. They already had it, but now they've been able to multiply even more to where they are a permanent institution in not beyond just the WNBA, but the sports landscape. They're the hottest team in sports these days as far as basketball goes. It's them.
Oh, for sure. And it's not even close when it comes to New York. It's not even close.
Yeah,
people will try to say otherwise, but they're wrong. Just so y'all know, they're wrong. Also, if y'all haven't picked up your gear from the official New York Liberty store, you might want to do so now because, baby, some of that championship gear is on sale. That Play
Erica,
hoodie is on sale.
I've been rocking my bootleg hoodie as I'm out and about in the
Yes.
neighborhood. Like I got a great shirt that night too. I've been wearing both. I feel like I'm gonna need to like take a spin and get actual merchandise so that way in the event my stuff doesn't make it to the new year,
Doesn't
I
make
got some
it.
fresh gear waiting for me.
Come on now. Listen, I got the mosaic, the subway tile mosaic is like my favorite. They need more swag with that. Like, cause they don't even know. I'd fill a whole cart with just that. But here's the link. Here's the link to the New York Liberty store, but they got stuff on sale now. So go check it out because I love a sale. Your girl love a sale. So
Look, 'tis the season after all.
for real. So yeah, go get that stuff. The official shirt, the locker room shirt, the hat. I have so many hats. I really wanted to buy a hat, and I was like, girl, you got a lot of hats. Now, in fairness, I don't have a New York Liberty hat, so I might go back and fill my cart again, but we'll see how it goes.
Erica, speaking of merchandise, I do wonder. I'm if I see Brian, I'm gonna ask him what's the sale on the white jerseys because Liberty fans are so paranoid about them wearing the white jerseys. I
Yeah.
wonder if the fans are gonna be like, okay, I can wear it. They're not allowed to.
They can't wear it. Yeah. I mean, they are clean. They are clean. But, being able to see Jonquel Jones, murals, parties, that was fantastic. And again, New York Liberty, we know y'all were there because we've been following all the little nuggets, still shots, and videos that y'all put on IG and them. So just give us more Liberty Unlocked. We
Yeah.
want more.
We're watching you always.
Always. We want more. It did seem though, unfortunately, Brian, that perhaps Jonquel's fiance ran into a little bit of backlash. And unfortunately, I don't really know what the full details are there, but I think it goes without saying that, of course, we here at Black Rosie Media, not only are we gonna go hard in the paint for our New York Liberty players, past, present, but also, we're not gonna stand or tolerate any kind of blatant homophobia or anything racism if and when that was the case. So really glad that JJ clapped back at whatever the situation was. A small blemish on what seemed like a really great week of celebration. I mean, just also JJ being able to embrace her culture, and that's something that a city like New York, Brian, this, we both know this, it allows, I don't like saying allows, but it empowers people to really express themselves, because you'd be hard pressed not to find somebody that's from around the way, from wherever your way is, there's someone from around the way. And that's what makes it feel like home. And I'm glad that JJ had that experience. And this was an interesting season for Jonquel Jones, Brian. We talked about it. We were going back and forth early in the season on this podcast on who was the more important person to activate early for the New York Liberty. Is it Stewie? Or was it Stewie? Was it Sab? Was it JJ? Well, I still don't know that we know the answer. Stewie and Sab had some significant shortcomings in the finals.
I
But
love
the
it, Granny
one
there for a minute.
I'm saying, but the one constant all season long, in a way, I would argue we really haven't seen from Jonquel Jones from a leadership perspective, was Jonquel Jones. And so you were in the media room with us before game 5. We were talking about, okay, there's a small group of us media members who are at the game. It's a super small group that actually votes on MVP. And so a few of us were chatting, and I think you were at the table when, people were like, oh, well, I mean, JJ's been the most consistent, but if Sab has another 30-point game, it's Sab. If Stewie has another 30-point game, it's Stewie. And for me, I was like, I hear you. And the answer is JJ. Like, the answer is JJ. I don't know what else JJ needed to do to prove that she was the anchor as this team won a title.
Yeah, like even if they won a game 4, my vote, I feel like if I had a vote, I would have given it to Jonquel that night too. Because I feel
Yep.
like, especially, now that I think about it, really the key to literally winning this, like beyond just winning this series, but winning this matchup specifically against the Lynx was Jonquel. Because when
Yep.
the Liberty lost in the regular season, JJ did a bunch of nothing. Like they
Mhm.
had her in the phone booth. Like
That's it.
the only game that they won in the regular season was the one she balled out.
That's
And
it.
all their losses, she had like 3, 4 points, couldn't get the ball, didn't have room to operate. So the fact that Jonquel was able to sort of like take the lessons that she learned from the regular season matchup and really
Yep.
have 5 outstanding games across the board, I think
Outstanding.
outstanding. I think speaks to her preparation, the coaching staff's preparation, the scouting staff putting everything together. It
Yep.
felt like every gear of the Liberty machine worked to perfection when it came to ensuring that JJ was most empowered to really sort of ball out and see the way
Absolutely.
she did. And one thing I remember, I think it was pregame of game 4. Sabrina was talking about, they don't win that game if Jonquel does not hit that wing 3-pointer. Like
Hello.
they were still on the ropes, and then JJ hits that big dagger to keep him right there. So the fact that JJ was able to really sort of like expand her game and do everything she needed to do in that regard,
Yep.
I think speaks well to everything that she's done. And also, like we've talked about it before, like when she gets frustrated, she takes herself out of it. She might
Yep.
run over Sandy on occasion, like it gets bad. And
Yo, that was wild.
yeah, I watched back a clip of that, and I'm like, I thought it was funny when it happened, but in hindsight, when everything is over, you can like really laugh and chuckle about it. And then Becky be like, "Oh my God, Cindy, you good?" Helping her up, like everything that's scary in a moment can become funny in the end when you win. So it was like a lighthearted moment in an intense series. But
Yeah.
back to JJ, like I think
Yep.
the fact that she was really able to play really sort of take advantage of Minnesota's lack of size. Like Lan got
Mhm.
hurt, but JJ was working her. Like she
Mhm.
essentially played Maisha Hines Allen off the court. Like Maisha couldn't get on the court because JJ was just like going through her every time. And being able to dominate in the way that she did, being able to sort of like handle switches on the perimeter, do everything at such a high level and a consistent level, make
Yes.
clutch plays. Even in game 1, I think she scored like their 5 points in overtime, like the wing 3 on the base on the right corner on the baseline, steal from Fee at half court to tie the game up. Like she did everything at such an
Everything.
incredible
Yep.
level. And
Mhm.
that's why she's an MVP. That's why she's a
Absolutely.
franchise player. Like
That's it.
everything about like how basketball has evolved over the past decades, you can sort of like see and it's
In JJ.
embodied
Yep.
in Jonquel throughout this entire series.
Absolutely. I just want to your point, pull this up here because the numbers are really wild. So this is Jonquel, her advanced stats. So that game, May 25th against Minnesota, 4 points. 4 points for JJ.
Mm,
Then, she had 21 points to your point in the win. The next game, 9 points in a loss.
mm.
That's regular season.
Yeah.
4, 9, and 21. 21 obviously was the win. But then if you look at JJ in the 5 games in the WNBA finals, her lowest points are right here at 13 and 14. She was getting it done. The fewest amount of rebounds she had, 5. And then she had a six spot right there.
Mm.
I see, you listen, no one is more into the key metaphor when it comes to Sabrina Ionescu than me, but I disagree with this. Jonquel Jones was the rock. She was the guiding force. Now, I think it's also true the New York Liberty don't win a championship without exemplar performances from Stewie and Sab in their respective breakout games. And that's the type of player that Sab and Stewie are. Jonquel Jones is exactly the player that she's supposed to be. foundational, the rock. That's why I say the key to success for the New York Liberty is to get Jonquel Jones a touch on the basketball as early in the shot clock as possible.
Yeah.
I don't care if she shoots it, she can pass it. She has to touch the ball early. And
Yeah.
I mean that's been proven. Her numbers, the way the games played out, there when the New York Liberty were blowing leads, when the New York Liberty were trying to get out of a hole, Jonquel's performance was the stabilizer. Period.
Yeah. And it feels almost like great teams tend to learn from failures and mistakes. And I think we talked about it last offseason. One of the failures at the end was not getting JJ the ball enough in game 4. And this time it's like, okay, we gotta it's a grinded out game. We gotta thug it out, get our big the ball, let her go to work. And they were really able to do that better this time. And the result paid off in a fantastic, amazing way. And I think for the Liberty, the goal for this forward is she didn't open. That one was huge, though.
That one was massive. Also, it came out later that she tore a ligament in her shooting thumb. So yeah, like but we talked about this when Gigi was on the episode. Remember, and when Lucas was on the episode, I was like, I don't care if you know that your arm is about to get sawed off by the surgeon tomorrow. You still take
shoot that thing.
You shoot that thing because you don't need you need Minnesota to play honest defense. And if they were sagging on Sabrina, I don't know, maybe Cheryl Reeve wouldn't have had her lash out. Bad refs or not, because child, that's another thing about seeing some of these replays. I'm like, oof. They were some of the officiating. Like someone today posted where Asia was setting a pick for Chelsea Gray on Leo, and she just like completely bodies into her chest. Leo's arms are out, no contact with Asia, and Asia has the nerve to turn around and look for the whistle. And guess what? She got it. And I'm like, in what world is that an offensive foul? Or excuse me, in what world is that not an offensive foul? But anyway, I digress. Sabrina's aggressiveness on both ends were key to being successful in the playoffs. Even though Ionescu was hurt, she needed to step up. Now, this is true. And I said what I said. JJ's the MVP. JJ's the MVP. Right. JJ's the MVP. Sab would tell you that.
Yep.
Sab would tell you that. Stewie, I think, would tell you that. Everyone, but this is the beauty of this particular championship win. It wasn't, and I mean, we're talking about JJ, so I'm being bullish about JJ because she deserves her flowers. There's no like asterisk. JJ earned that thing. I mean, Leo was huge at key moments. KT injecting energy, massive. And I already talked about Niara, so we're not going to go down that road again. I mean, I would love to, but we're going to try to keep it concise tonight. That's the beauty, and that's the way that this New York Liberty team, like in my mind, this was always the way that they were going to win a title, is by leaning into the Sandy Brondello, the Book of Sandy, right? Or Sandra, the Book of Sandy, leaning into the Book of Sandy. We trust each other. We communicate with each other. It is, we are a team because of everyone's individual gifts. And it's, the sum of the parts is what got them that championship. And to your point, Brian, she went to a lineup she'd never used before because she had built and cultivated that trust. And it was like, yep, let's go out and get this title. So, I mean, again, being bullish about JJ, this is the JJ episode. It's JJ's world today. We're just living in it. And when we talk about Sabrina, I will absolutely, because y'all know I've been saying this for years. This is the Sabrina that the New York Liberty envisioned when they took her first overall. It's listen, is it Sab's team? Is it Stewie's team? Is it JJ's team? The great thing is that we don't need to answer that, at least not right now. I do think just because of where she is contractually, this will be Sabrina's team. She's gonna have the keys. And that's gonna be, but JJ did that thing. She seems happy. Last year, it seemed like she was going through some tough stuff. She wasn't the only one. But I just love seeing the joy from JJ.
Thinking about JJ, I was thinking back to the great story Katie Barnes of ESPN did in 2021 about who's the face of the
Yes.
league. And I think
Yes.
for Jonquel, this championship and everything that stemmed afterwards, I think has really sort of shown people that, hey, there's so much great, amazing talent in this league. You can highlight and really promote and show. Like I watched the interview she did on, I forget the name of his podcast. It was with Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and those and the football guys. Like it was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good seeing JJ in the Bahamas really have this moment, being on Jimmy Fallon, all these programs. I think
Yes.
really it feels like I feel like not that she needed it from like us in particular, but it's like it's such a great validation to be like,
Right.
okay, I'm a superstar in this league. I will be respected and acknowledged as such. And for folks who are new to me, like I love to have you here.
Yep.
Let's hop on this ride
Welcome.
together.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, absolutely. I think again, it's just been joy. JJ has been everywhere. It's been the JJ World Tour, and I love that for her. And I think you're right. And I think she alluded to this that I don't know if it was that same podcast. She's been on like so many podcasts, but on one of her shows, on one of her appearances, she said, a lot of people are talking about me being surprised and shocked. And she said something akin to, it's not because I didn't believe that I could win. She's like, I know the work that I put in. I know, she talks very openly about what her benchmarks are game to game. And the team knows we need JJ to get a double double. When JJ gets a double double, we win. Boom, there you go. And so she said it wasn't that element. It's just that she said she felt that she had done enough to be deserving in the past, and it didn't happen. And so she was just content to know that she did the best that she could. It resulted in a championship, and everything else would work out. And it was just, that's where her headspace was. Not like, dang, if I don't get this MVP, boom, 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 boom. Like it wasn't even that. And so I think that shows a lot of growth in JJ, because again, you mentioned it, Brian, you alluded to it. We know that JJ can get into that mental rut, and it is very expressive when that does happen. And that has gotten her and her team into positions, whether it's New York, Connecticut, where when she's in that headspace, the team has difficulty doing what it wants to do when JJ's in that headspace. And I feel like, just from a distant observer, and I say that because I haven't explicitly asked her about this, but from a distance, watching the team very closely, hearing her talk to us in media, I do think that maturity really came through. And it's just this nice convergence of, she seems happy and healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, in her personal life, professionally. And it resulted in a championship. And I mean, I just love that for her. I love that for her.
I think back, we were both in the room at exits last year, and
Yep.
I asked JJ, like, how she felt just like managing all the things that was thrown at her throughout the year. And she mentioned like there were points where I just couldn't, I just didn't feel like I could do it anymore. And I think that she was very open about that last year, and you could sort of see just the frustration and the sadness she felt because she got so close again, and it just didn't work the way she wanted it to. And I think for Jonquel, delayed not denied. I think it's not just like like a really great like motto, but it's just like it embodies what she does because
Yes,
I remember during the year she was like, last year defenses dared me to take those shots, and I didn't take them. So I was like, okay, that's not gonna happen ever again. This
that's it.
time I'm gonna, like, that shot is open, no hesitation, that thing's going up. Like,
That's
you
it.
want to play me a different way? I got something for you. And I think for her, with her foot being back to full strength and like a full off season of full strength and not having to sort of rehab on the fly with it,
Yeah.
That's sort of like she's always confident, but it feels like there's like a more of a pep in her step when you know that my body is reacting the way I need it to, and I don't have to think about like stepping the wrong way and things going haywire. I remember you talked about it in the Shattered Glass documentary. She was getting treatment on the foot during the finals. So
Yes.
even as you're like trying to compete for the championship, it's like, oh no, my body's just like not there right now, and I can't do
Yep.
anything about it.
Yep.
So being able to really be at full capacity and having that desire and that passion to really get to the top of the mountain, like that can really sort of drive, that can really sort of like power you home. And it was great for her to really be the best player when you take into account all the context that brought her into this moment.
Absolutely. And I mean, things, started off pretty solid. June was by far in the regular season her best month. But the consistency, her points, she averaged 17.4 in June and then basically 12 points per game in July, August, and September. But also in that period of time in June, July, August, especially July, that's when we started seeing the double doubles. That's when we started to see the New York Liberty really get serious about stringing multiple wins together. That winning streak that New York went on, that comes from JJ anchoring her performance. Now, we don't need JJ necessarily to score 31, 41, 51 points every single night. But if she hits that double double, things are good for New York. Things are good for New York.
And also, speaking of sort of like getting a little bit more granular with JJ, it felt like this year, like we talked about it last year about how to utilize her. Like this year, we really saw her passing take another big step forward.
Yes.
Like she's always been a good passer, but this year, like she's making really snazzy behind the back passes, cross
It's
court passes,
confidence.
really sort of like that confidence and the basketball knowledge really sort of like
Yes.
shine through. And I think it really helps that you have great shooters all over the court,
Oh,
players
yeah.
who are dedicated to cutting to the basket, always moving, always getting to the right spot. And when you combine that teamwork and that chemistry with a tremendous passing center, because, the game changes, but everyone's like, oh, a center's taking that shot. But
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, word. After a while, it's like I gotta come up there. And then what happens? Backdoor cuts available. Leo gets 2 easy points like
Oh,
that.
oh my gosh. So good. JJ was just it was fluid. It was being in touch. And this is again why the easy bake oven, the microwave version of the New York Liberty last year, it was good enough to get to the finals. But then, like Brian, we all saw last year's finals. Like we all saw
Clock
it.
struck midnight.
It was not pretty.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. At very particular points, it was not pretty. And I will say there is a lot to still improve upon with this New York Liberty squad, and that's why the conversation that we had with Gigi. I mean, what's going to happen in now? Just what, a handful of weeks, right? We get through Thanksgiving next week, and that expansion draft is right around the corner.
The
Um,
secret draft.
the secret draft. Yes, the covert draft for Golden State. I see them trying to get a little cute on social media now.
Oh,
Yeah. I
offline, always offline. I like it. Very, very cool.
Oh man. I like this. I like this. All right. I don't want to call it a hot take, but it's a way too early prediction.
Ooh,
Jonquel Jones might be MVP next year if she's focused. I
Erica, can I
Yeah,
stay
go
on that
for
for
it.
a quick second?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I feel like I feel like just broadly speaking for voters, I feel like I don't want to say public pressure gets them in a sense,
Oh,
but
it
if
does.
okay,
I'll say it. I'll
okay,
say it.
okay, I want because I always feel like voters are like, oh, this person is playing great. Let me get him something. So I feel like if I had to like place an early pick for next year's MVP, I feel this is gonna be Mama Fees to lose. Like I feel like
Oh,
I
I see
I
what you're
might
doing.
yeah, I might put her like I'll put her at the early as my early first place pick for now with
Mm,
a with you know what? I don't want to diverge too far, but I feel like 22 in Indianapolis might have a big run depending on how the Fever do. I feel
mm.
like I feel like the voters want to do it.
They
I feel
do.
like
It does
they
feel
want to
that
do
way.
it.
I mean, Caitlin Clark got MVP votes this year, to which I was like, bruh. Now listen,
Indiana get
yeah,
a 4 seed. I feel
listen.
like
You know what? I'm not even gonna say it right now because I will go on a tangent that is much deserved, but we'll save it because I
on
feel
a
like
Slack.
yeah, I'll save it for Slack. I'll go on my rant on Slack. I have a lot of thoughts about MVP. I'm glad people did the right thing this year, but I'm also, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. I think JJ is always, I think I'll put it this way. JJ needs to play like she's a top 10 candidate. Not even that's because that's a lot. Let's keep it real. I feel like there's not a lot of seasons where there's 10 legitimate candidates for MVP. Five, top five, top three. I think if she really gets into that headspace, I don't know what her goal setting and kind of off season is like, but if that's something that she really wants to attack, I think it's within range. Because again, I hear what you're saying about Fee. I do think that whether it's 22 formerly from South Carolina or 22 formerly from Iowa, there is a lot of sway, I'll say, that those two have. All I'm going to say is listen, when Candace Parker said she wanted to be defensive player of the year and then she won over Alicia Clark, I was like, oh, okay. Okay. All you got to do is say what you want. That's like, I believe in manifestation. I believe in prayer. I don't know that I believe in that. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. I don't know. Listen, don't even get me started. Or when NECA won MVP over Tina Charles because of efficiency. Like, okay, fam. All right. I see how it is.
Erica,
What did you see?
one day we're gonna need to do a special episode. We'll get Misha on for this too, where we just take a trip through awards memory lane and just be like, I'll give you an
Dragging
entire
all
hour
y'all.
where you're like, this award, hand that over to somebody else, buddy.
Dragging all of y'all. Like, I actually don't think I ever published my full awards, although it's on CBS.com because spoiler alert, my ballad was exactly what we published. So anyway, I did not change it. I thought I might, but I didn't. Again, you can, if you want to know if I was the if I was the person who did not make Rookie of the Year unanimous, you can go check it out at cbs.com. I'm not telling you on here. Go check it out. But what I will say is for Defensive Player of the Year, I definitely pulled a third party there because I was looking at the numbers and I just had a really tough time deciding between Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier. And so I just threw somebody else out there. I'll be real. Like, I don't care. I'll own it. I said what I said. I did what I did, and I will own that. And that's why I did it. So if people look at my Defensive Player of the Year award and be like, "Girl, what?" That's why. Because I was like, I can't decide between these two. So I'm gonna give it to someone who I feel confident won't get it won't be like an AT situation. Like, I felt confident that I wasn't going to screw somebody over on the AT tip, but I just was like, I'm not prepared. That's not true. I love defense so much, and it was just really hard for me to decide between those two. So I was like, y'all choose for me. Oh my god.
I'll also add that I don't know if I have to talk to Kathy or Ron Howard or whoever, but I need rank for award voting for sixth player of the year. I want first place, second place, third place.
They can do it. I don't know why they don't do that.
Give us options.
I hear you. I would be down for that. I think also we should at minimum announce the full panel of voters. Like, first of all, I want to be recognized. Like, who doesn't like being recognized? And again, I don't have no problem. Y'all could know my votes. You can call me all kinds of names if you want to. I said what I said. I said what I said. Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how JJ takes this season and moves forward. because talking about next year, and I see Damien, your comment, and we're going to get into we're effectively in the fourth quarter right now. So if y'all have specific questions that you want us to respond to or comments, you can put those in the chat. We are so, well, that's not a word. We also,
There we go.
we also are going to circle back to Unrivaled, but I want to talk about this. The Liberty needs to be smart about next year if they want to repeat. I know that Brian Flannery is traveling the world, but I need him to get me Jonathan Kolb and or Kia on the phone. I need a direct line because I have so many questions about the organization coming off its first championship. We're talking about Jonquel Jones. We all agreed Jonquel Jones is going to be one of the 6 cord players. It's a huge mystery. We won't get the official list unless it's leaked. I kind of hope someone does just leak all of it, like Ross, and like just send it out. The New York Liberty are going to protect JJ in the expansion draft. We don't know who they will. They're going to lose one player in the expansion draft. I think it's going to be interesting to see with Brianna Stewart. I don't know if it's too much of a mystery. Courtney Vandersloot, I think, has a few decisions potentially to make. But then also, and this maybe is the real question for the New York Liberty. And we might dive into this in the next handful of episodes. But something to think about regarding Damien's comment here, that they need to be smart. Do we think that the New York Liberty can tinker a little bit more with their reserves to be an even deeper team next year?
I think it's going to be so fascinating because we have 2 things at play in 2025. The expansion draft first, and then the expanded regular and postseason schedule. So it's going to be a lot more basketball with no Olympic break in between. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Liberty do. So I guess I was thinking maybe a few days ago, the early plan might be to just sort of like keep Stewie and JJ's minutes a little bit on the low side and up Niara's a little bit more, but the risk, the potential risk in that is that for as much potential as Niara has, the injury potential is always there with her, unfortunately. So you have to sort of figure out how to strike that perfect balance. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Liberty do. Like, because this year, in 23, they were really big heavy. This year, they were way more flexible and expansive. So when it comes to their off season, depending on which player is selected in the draft and what the potential free agents in the team do, it'll be really interesting to see what they do. Like, would they sort of like shave JJ's minutes a little bit more and then play Kennedy Burke at the 5 as like an early example? Would that be something they do? Sort of like manage the minutes a little bit more? Will they dial down Sabrina and Leo a little bit in the regular season? And then, hey, Marquisha, you had some run in China. You've built on the rookie year. How about you get a little bit more time to sort of show what you got? Like, will that be the case? Will a player like Ivana still be here and a Sloot as well too? Like, what will that look like, and how do you sort of navigate those minutes and those rotations? Also, Rebecca Gardner, welcome back to pro basketball. It's been 2 years. Like, you're healthy, your Achilles is in good shape. Our doctors have taken care of you all year. Let's see what you can do. There's going to be so many exciting questions for this team. And with the free agency landscape, and also just taking a peek around the Eastern Conference, like, we don't know what Connecticut is going to look like right now. They're down their head coach. We don't know if the engine and DB are going to be gone. Washington, who knows what they're going to look like? You know,
Indiana's coming for everybody.
Indiana coming to, like, they on national TV all the time, and they're gonna be on national TV all the time, winning by like 25 this year. So be ready.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I think we're gonna see an extremely competitive training camp for the New York Liberty. This is an interesting comment, and I do think that the New York Liberty are susceptible to this. I think they were this year, even with people downplaying Sabrina's regular season, because I do think JJ MVP, obviously finals MVP. She is my MVP pick for the New York Liberty in the regular season as well. And y'all already know Sabrina Ionescu got that most improved player vote, and y'all already know who it was. I've been telling y'all. I already know what Damien's probably typing right now. She was not the most improved player. Dejanay Carrington was more improved. Okay, that is your opinion. I said what I said. Sabrina Ionescu's improvements, to your point earlier, Damien, alongside with JJ anchoring with her consistency, because Sabrina extremely consistent up until the back end, or I think right after the Olympic break. I really think some of that was fatigue, understandably.
Yeah, it's the next thing too.
Understandably so. And that's why people gave her demerits on her regular season. That's why she didn't make first team, which is redonkulous to me. Like, Sabrina was a first team player, also put her there. But I do think that when you have, and we talked about this early in the season, Brian, when you have 3 players and even more playing at such a consistent, such a game-changing clip, Stewie's defense, I mean, I can't talk enough about how important her defense. We're going to do that when we do her deep dive. Sabrina Ionescu's improvements. So Sab's improvements, Stewie's defense, and JJ's consistency, that's the trifecta. That was the trifecta this year. And when you have all of that, I do think it makes it hard for people to separate for individual awards, because, and I fall into this trap too. I just happen to watch a lot. I watch all of the New York Liberty games. I don't watch all of Washington's games. I don't watch all of Minnesota's games. I mean, that's just real. You gotta, if I had infinite time, I would watch it all. And no one pays me to do that, so I don't do it. No one pays me enough, I should say, to do that. Anyway, it's difficult, and that's what makes this team special. And so what is the balance, though? Because inevitably, and I don't think Stewie or JJ are there where they need more individual awards. They are chasing trophies, championship trophies. Sabrina, I think, is fine without individual awards. And I think that she will have a career worthy of individual awards. That's my take on it. And that's why I do think she will get the keys, and that she'll be happy to take over a New York Liberty team in the future.
For the Liberty players, I guess if whatever they don't get in MVP awards, they'll sort of trade in trophies and eventual jerseys hanging up in the rafters at Barclays Center. So I guess if, hey, I don't get the MVP award, but I got championship number 2, 3, 4, and seafoam hanging up top the building in Brooklyn, that might be a little fun. That might be a fun little plan B.
Yeah, I dig it. Damien, I have no idea who the Liberty are going to take 7th overall. We haven't even gotten to conference play for the NCAA. I think
give away bench players. Dang.
No, and also no, we're not doing that. The bench arguably won game 5. So, like, when you say bench, who you getting rid of? Who you getting rid of? Is Sloot gonna retire? I don't know. That's her decision to make. If she doesn't, I do think the New York Liberty and Vandersloot have to have a conversation. I do think that if Sloot is on the New York Liberty and is okay coming off the bench, then that's her role right now. There could be a world where she's not okay with that. It seemed at times in the season that she might not have been okay with that. So that's a decision, that's a conversation that Sloot is going to have, or a decision she'll have to make, and then a conversation she'll have to have. I'm okay, though, with Courtney Vandersloot playing the role that she did for the New York Liberty next season, the same role that she did in the finals. I mean, I don't know. What bench players are we talking here? What bench players are we talking about? But I do think that's where the Liberty probably changed the most, is to see, I would love to see, the CBA won't change for next season, but I would love to see a roster expansion as far as the number of spots, and But here's the thing. Ain't nobody want to do that while the New York Liberty are this good. They're not trying to do that. Now for Indiana, we'll change the playoff format. We will hurry out a rollout for charters. For Indiana, we'll do that. We will even send the WNBA All-Star Weekend to Indianapolis. For Indiana, for you, I will. For you, I will. For the Liberty, they said, F out of here. Get the F out of here. We was about to terminate your membership to the WNBA.
The best thing Kathy did for the Liberty was the skyline dress. And even then it's like, girl, you got you found that after like 5 minutes of shopping.
Like, people were big mad about that. I mean, it wasn't great. I'll put it this way. I don't think any New York Liberty fan asked for that. We ain't asked for it. Kathy did that on her own. I don't know why. We ain't asked for it.
It was very much hey, that's your friend doing that. That ain't my people.
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't care. Also, I don't care. Sherrod Davis, Jokic should go elsewhere. I mean, we keeping Sherrod. I would keep Sherrod. I think that spark plug off of the bench, I say this all the time, is what's missing. With Davis, we didn't see enough of Q or Ivana, to be honest, to assess where they should be, which could be the writing on the wall there. Like you mentioned, Rebecca Gardner is a player that they have to figure out. MJ, we still have the rights to Maureen Johannes.
And she said she's coming back.
So there you go. So that might take care of itself anyway. And I think if those are the changes, then that's already, in theory, a more dynamic bench for Sandy Brondello to play with. And that's going to be critical because we saw that Sab got hurt. Stewie looked absolutely gassed. You know, I don't know if she had a leg injury or not. She has not disclosed anything. Either way, her legs were tired. She was tired by game 5. By game 4, she was tired. Okay. And rightfully so, because of what she was doing defensively. And I said it before, I love how, I guess now going 2 full seasons ago, someone tried to come on the interwebs and tell me I didn't know what I was talking about, and that Stewie wasn't even 30 years old yet, and that she didn't need rest. Say what now? Oh, she don't need what now? Okay. All right. So y'all gonna stop playing me one day. Y'all gonna stop playing me one day. I done told y'all almost 2 years ago that we needed to, I didn't say it needed to happen right away, but I was like, we gonna run her into the dirt, into the ground. And look at that. By the skin of our teeth. I mean, again, we won in the most New York way possible, but give that child some rest. Give that child some rest. But I will say, going back to this, I think like the way too early mock drafts, a lot of people have Pow Pow. If I'm not mistaken, Tahina, right?
Yeah, I saw one draft had Anissa Morrow as the 7th pick, so it's gonna be, and I think also by Final Four season is when we'll know if players are gonna be declaring, which is gonna end. It's such a tight window for the draft because it's like 2-3 weeks post national championship game, so it's like a really tight window. But I will say for the Liberty, as an organization, they've done a great job of scouting and preparing for all possibilities. So whatever we're thinking, they're probably like on the road to figuring out who's who and who's what.
Yep. And I think also another thing that's going to be interesting to see how Jonathan Kolb divvies out contracts is that there's another expansion draft, at least one more coming down the pike. And that's just in 2 consecutive years. And then there are more expansion teams coming. So again, then the WNBA, I'm going to say it again, because one, I think it's funny, but also it might be a conspiracy theory that I believe to have some weight. They will do anything if it's good for Indiana, and they will do anything if it's bad for New York. They like, New York, you ain't getting a repeat what? Repeat who? It's going to be another 29 years until you get, like, they really trying to play us. That's how it feels. That's how it feels.
Kathy be in the office, and then it's like, oh, wait, no, guys, you got too much. I gotta
too much. You
change
got
it
too
up.
much. It was like, be easy, be easy. Do you want Marine Johannes to come back next year? Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah. I feel like besides just like winning, basketball is about entertainment, and Marine is incredibly entertaining. Like I feel like we need Marine to throw some wild no look to Leo just to really get the party started. Like we need that. We need that in the worst way.
Oh my gosh. Yes, please. And that's okay. If we go back to who do we think? I don't know who do I think the New York Liberty are going to pick? I don't. I don't have a thought on that right now. Who do I hope, or what is the kind of like profile that I hope the New York Liberty get either through the draft or by acquiring some really good assets on the reserve side of things? Personality, sandpaper. I don't care. You could be 4 foot nothing or 7 feet tall. If you have that dog in you, that's what the New York Liberty need. We need someone who's going to go out there. I think it plays that role. Betnijah is a very, very particular, very purebred, bougie dog. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like Betnijah going to go out there and do Betnijah things. She ain't going to bark because she knows how to be around company. You don't have to put her on the leash because she knows what to do. But mess around with Betnijah like that ain't a dog. It might be a show dog, but it's still a dog. You feel me? And we learned that in the finals. But I need like a a dog that's seen some things, that come from a few different neighborhoods. That's the kind of dog that this New York team needs. That's the kind of dog we need. Minnesota, listen here. Minnesota, I ain't worried about Minnesota. They gonna do what they gotta do. I mean, Minnesota's gonna do what they gotta do. I was worried a lot about Minnesota going into the finals, but listen, they'll be they're gonna do what they gotta do. Of course, they're gonna come not just for New York, they're gonna come for a title.
Erica,
Go ahead.
I think I know one of Cheryl's weaknesses.
What's that?
Memories of the 2016 finals against the Sparks.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Yep. And I see this is Brian. I wish I had remembered this. Minnesota does not win titles in even years. I think I said this on another podcast. They just don't win titles in even years. So all that stress, all that anxiety, we should have known. You want to say it was the refs, you want to say it was overtime, you want to say it was the jump balls, the travels, whatever you want to say, I don't care. The basketball universe was like, Minnesota, you don't win in even years. Period. So they might take it next year. So if it's New York, Minnesota next year, I'll be like, all right, let's see if we can make it competitive. I mean, I'd love to break the streak, but if we don't, we knew. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. Cheryl has bad boy Bill's crystal ball and is preparing for the 2025 finals as we speak.
Right now. Yep. Absolutely right now. Oh my gosh. Cheryl Reeve. Yo, she really went on a rant. Oh my gosh. Like at first I was mad and then I was like, oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, Cheryl.
That was that New Jersey coming out in full effect.
Oh my gosh. Like just y'all okay. Y'all I feel like y'all type Hanju in the comments just to get me worked up. The ship has sailed. We don't need it. I mean, best of luck to you, Hanju. I've never seen the vision, and I still don't see a world in which the New York Liberty is a better team by acquiring Hanju. When you still have Stewie, you still have JJ, you have Leo playing how she's playing, you have Niara playing how she's playing. What is Han doing? What does Han do on a Liberty squad at this point?
Yeah.
I don't see it. I just don't. But I guess we will see. Okay, before we close out, Before we close out, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, expectations for the New York Liberty next year. I honestly think, Damien, we have to kind of see. I want to see what moves, if any, this team makes. We got to get through the expansion draft. I think it's realistic to say right now, knowing none of the other variables, of course you want to see them try it and repeat. And why not?
Yeah, something like now that was a great question Damien asked, and I'm thinking back to training camp when the player, I think Sabrina said that they weren't explicitly chasing the 1 seed this year, like they just wanted to like handle their business the way they needed to, and then they got the 1 seed as a result of that. So I wonder for them, do they make a hard push for the 1 seed so that way in the event we have a game 7, it's back in your building where you have the loudest crowd in basketball ready to bring you to the finish line. So I wonder if, I guess that'll come with like managing minutes and everything else. Like, do they make a hard push to be like, okay, we want to get the 1 seed again? Because in the event we see Las Vegas a third time, we have that home court advantage and not have to start in Vegas. If we see a Minnesota, we're not starting in Target Center. Like we're starting in our house, and we're so that way we can set the tempo early, and then you guys have to adjust to us.
I think it's an interesting point. And as you were talking, Brian, I'm thinking of a few different ways to look at this. On the one hand, in order to be the 1 seed, you have to win games, in the regular season. Your goal should be to win games in the regular season, because then that puts you in the most advantageous place in the postseason, period. Of course, that's the goal every single year. Now, where hunting the 1 seed becomes a little bit, is it worth it, is if you are injured. If the team is dealing with injury, if there's a player dealing with injury, how much do you push that player to get wins versus, again, as JJ would say, thug it out with who you got healthy to then try and get as close, if not the 1 seed, but then it don't make never mind if you win the 1 seed and then you're stumbling, with undisclosed injuries in the first round.
Yep.
I mean, Vegas kind of saw a little bit of that, it seems like, this past season.
And to sort of like add a little bit more to that point, a first round where you're traveling for game 2. Like is no more 2 games at home, 1 game on the road. It's 1-1-1 this time. So that's another complication and wrinkle to deal with as well, too.
For sure. Listen, I'm not throwing Hanju under the bus. I am guiding her calmly off of the bus. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the ride. This is the final destination.
This is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave.
Yeah, last stop on the train. Like, yes, that is under the bus. Of course not. I don't want to see Hanju under the bus. Off of the bus, yes. I mean, listen, it's like Tupac said, it's not that I want you to go hungry. I just don't want you eating at my table. Aloysius said,
take a stroll as wild.
Take a stroll. Just go, we want you to explore the fullness that is this journey. And in order to do that, this portion of the journey has come to a conclusion. Thank you so much. We wish you well on all of your future endeavors. So no, not under the bus. Not under the bus. Absolutely not. And
alternate
I everything like Phoebish. I don't know if this is like comparing Han to Phoebish, because if it is, I don't see it. I don't. And I got to see Han in the W. I don't think it's the right fit right now. I mean, sure, go somewhere else. But we don't need to take up spots on the Liberty for Han. I just don't see the upside. not with the bigs the way that we have it. For who's leaving? Niara? I'm not doing that. Stewie? No. JJ? No. Betnijah doesn't play the same position. KT doesn't play the same position. Leo doesn't play the same position. Courtney Vandersloot doesn't. Q doesn't. You know, like who and why? I don't think we need a big. Do we need a big, Brian? Maybe I'm wrong.
I need whenever we get the results, I need them to say secret draft, pick one, and then I am fully committed to secret draft as like a way of life for the next couple weeks. So everything that's like they're gonna say expansion draft. No, secret draft. It is
the secret draft. The secret draft. I guess it does depend on the secret draft. But again, if we were right in our conversation with Gigi, the secret draft will not give up a center spot. Stewie ain't going in the secret draft. I guess technically she could go in free agency. I don't expect that, but you never know. Stewie ain't going in the secret draft. JJ ain't going in the secret draft. Niara, I guess, is quote unquote most vulnerable, but I still don't see it. So what are we doing? I mean, here's another exercise. Would you take Han over like a Steph Dolson last year? I mean, I'll just say I wouldn't. I think that's a closer comp, maybe, but Steph Dolson, her skill set is very specific. And I just think that the New York Liberty weren't quite where they are this year for us to utilize that. But Steph Dolson screens, I'll take those every day. Give Niara some of that. Give literally anyone some of that, and I'm taking it every day. Every day, Brian. I'm taking it every day.
Yeah, and I think that especially for a player like a Niara, like we saw the growth throughout the year, and especially post-Olympic break. Like you saw her firsthand in Paris, and saw how great she was. Like, and then next year is going to be another opportunity for her, and she's such a great roller to the basket, and she draws so much attention when she gets there. And you have like the chemistry she has with Sabrina and everyone else. Like, it opens up so much more on this team, and it makes it really unique and gives them a lot of good options. And I think with more playing time, more seasoning, you'll really sort of see her post game come together. She has good hands at the rim. Like, she has a soft touch. Like, I really feel like if you give her like a big nudge, she'll really take that next leap.
Y'all, this bus thing has me cracking up. Not the idea of Hanju fitting under a bus.
New York buses they're kind of the select buses are getting kind of big these days.
They kind of big. She kind of long. She on the long side. Damien says, I will take Hanju over Stephanie Dolson from a height and physicality perspective. Maybe on the height, but physicality?
Big Mama layout.
Like, I don't know. I mean, let me go watch some Hanju clips, because the last time I saw Han was also in Paris. I do think that she plays differently when she plays with the Chinese national team. And again, but the opportunities are different. Her role is different on that team than it's going to be for the New York Liberty. That's another thing. So, but physicality, you're taking Han over Big Mama? Oh no. Okay.
Atlanta still has beef with Big Mama after a screen she set last year.
Yo, she will lay someone out. If you don't call a Big Mama screen, oh, I feel bad for that guard. Was it Jordan Canada who got? Who was it on Atlanta? Who was it? I know. I feel like I vaguely remember Jordan Canada getting got.
Yeah. Oof. Was it Ari McDonald last year, or was it AD Durr? It was somebody got laid out. I don't know. Last year.
Oh, look who it is! The celebrity, Misha Jones, in the house. From Kansas City, NWSL Championship Week. Let's go. If y'all aren't already, make sure you listen to Good Game. Good game with Sarah Spain and Misha and Alex. We were saying, Mish, we gotta get you on the mic again and have some off-season conversations about what this Liberty squad's gonna look like. Let's go. Exactly, Ronnie. Han would get cooked in the post. Like, again, wish you well. Not under the bus. Just calmly down the stairs and safely on the curb. Just safely on the curb. That's all. Safely with no ill will, full full pocket of money, a lunch packed, all the things. But just on the curb. Okay, before we close out, fam, what do y'all make? Okay, is Unrivaled trolling us, or is Caitlin Clark trolling us? And why is the answer that both are trolling us?
I feel like with Unrivaled, like on opening night, it's gonna be like in WWE when like a surprise entrant comes and someone's music blares and it's like, oh my god, it's Caitlin Clark. What is this? I feel like we're gonna get something approximate to that, and I feel like they're gonna hold the 2 wild card spots until like the very, very last second, and then they're like, oh hey, go hoop. Y'all ready to go? Let's do this. So I'm excited to see what's up. I put I saw a prompt from our friend Megan Hall of USA Today about a hot take we have for Unrivaled, and I put for mine. I think
I saw. Yeah, you said it.
I put it in a Slack too. Don't be surprised if we see one Diana Taurasi in Unrivaled. I feel like DT here to hit threes, set some mean screens, and get out these referees. It's
my gosh. She said, I'll meet you in Miami. I'll see you in Miami. Oh my gosh. DT was also trolling us at Gino and CD's celebration last night. Oh my gosh. She's a mess. She's a mess. I think it would be hilarious. I still don't think it's quite likely. If anything, that she's like definitely like the celebrity that comes down, makes the walk down to the ring, taps in real quick and a quick tap out. I don't know. I don't see it for DT. I honestly never really believed Caitlin Clark was going to Unrivaled. I don't know. The more pressure people put on it, the more Caitlin Clark's like, nah. She ain't going. And I think, in Slack, I was like, I didn't remember if Asia Wilson had made a commitment one way or another. Seems like she's a nah too. It's a no for me, dog. Sab is someone that I think could be interesting, but she's in the same, like, them folks don't like, they're not trying to mess with us in the off season.
Yeah. So what Sabrina Ionescu is taking the classic, when we go on break, we break.
We out. She's like, work hard, play hard. She's out in Oregon living her best life with her husband and her bestie, the Oregon Duck. She's not trying to mess with y'all.
She ain't talking to us until opening night next year, friends.
I'm telling you, she might show up. She might show up and talk to us during training camp, but even then, she's like, listen, I am not contractually obligated to mess with y'all. Like, leave me alone. She's like, I want to spend time with my husband. I'm going to be with my boo and my alma mater. And that's it. And you know what? I love that for her. Misha laughing. I love that for her. I love that for Asia. And Caitlin Clark, everyone reading into it. Kate Martin, that's why. That's how we know it's going to be Caitlin Clark. Lexi Hall, that's why we know it's going to be Caitlin Clark. I'm like, alternatively, maybe those 2 players just wanted to stay stateside and make a little money while also getting after it on the court. Maybe. So possible.
It would have been Unrivaled if they leaned into the bit a little bit more. They could have made Lisa Bluter a head coach just to really drive all the Iowa-ness into the party.
Well, people thought that was going to happen too. That's also who they thought was going to take over for Indiana. So, I mean, again, if y'all thought Game 5 of the WNBA Finals was rigged, Just wait till we see all these changes. Well, we don't have to wait. We've already seen them. Anyway, I digress. All right, Brian, we're going to get out of here. We did our deep dive. Jonquel Jones, rightfully so, living her best life. All of the podcasts, not exit through the back door. All of the podcasts, going to the Bahamas with her fiancé. It looked like such a wonderful celebration of, yes, the championship, but also just the passion that she has for the Bahamas, that she has for basketball, and to honor and appreciate the sacrifices that she and her family made so that she could pursue a dream. We're so proud of you, JJ. I know you watch the show all the time, I'm sure. And if you don't, that's cool too. But if you do, we appreciate you here on Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Next week, we will be back on track with Tempestagi Talk. We did a bonus episode because there is a lot going on in Seattle, fam. And no, I'm not only talking about the weather. That's actually not a joke. There's been really bad weather in Seattle, so I hope everyone is safe. But also, there's been a lot of drama with the Seattle Storm, like the organization, the basketball team. And Roberto Rodriguez has been helping me keep up to date with that. So we'll be back with another deep dive, just like we did JJ today. We'll do another deep dive into another player on Tempestagi Talk. And then, again, we got to get ready for this secret draft. So that's coming up. But yes, as Aloysius said, it is now time for the Ellie Web. We will catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody. Be well.